What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer taking a look at a very unique deck, and that is Sacred Beast Spright. It's not really what you think it is. In fact, it covers a very unique hole in these archetypes, one that I think only Sacred Beast can, get over. Right? The whole thing is like sprites are so good at advantage, and they have these good resource loops, but they have weak monsters that really lose a lot of the times. Maybe like a normal summon with a high enough attack stat value, and it kind of messes up your plays. There just so happens to be a card in the Sacred Beast archetype, and that is Hamon, that when it is in defense position, your opponent cannot attack other monsters. And that is going to help us a lot. Now, one thing about Sacred Beast, and the thing is, this is a Sacred Beast deck. It's not just, you could just use this as a pure 2 engine. Beckoning Beast can search the continuous spell, and the continuous spell can search another copy, and you get a free normal summon, right, which is another level 2. But there is value in the Sacred Beast engine. In fact, there's a lot. Like I said, Hamon fills the attack hole, and also the field spell gives you a draw too. So after you've gone through half of your deck, going through the Spright combo, all that's left is these good non-engine cards a lot of the time. So you're going to go ahead and see that right here. So there we go. There's Hamon. Now, it is an attack position now, but earlier I was playing Foolish Barrow Goods, and that's what I started the turn off with. And that obviously can send Cerulean Sky Fire. Now, I could play more copies of Cerulean Sky Fire, but I also do play Psy-Frames in this deck. It's searchable through Spright. I think it's a really good engine, and you can do some really cool stuff with it. So here comes Spright Sprind, obviously. I'm going to be able to get a lot of 2s here. And then you're going to kind of see a unique engine, right? I have used so many cards. I've gone through almost half of my deck, and now I can go to Fallen Paradise and draw 2 more, meaning I can probably get some pretty good cards. Jet being one of those good cards. This is about as good as an end board as you're going to get. Herald actually can give you anything, right? You just bring it out from the deck and add it back to your hand. You're drawing extra cards, so the putback doesn't really matter. A lot of the times you're going to have a dead card in your hand of some sort. And there goes Psy-Frame. So when my opponent activates a spell and trap, I will just change this to defense position, thus protecting the Lambda, which is the most vulnerable thing. So what this is, obviously this is a spell and trap negate. This is IP Masquerena. This banishes. This is one of the cards I drew off the top, but Psy-Frame Gear Gamma is good. If anything gets banished, Lambda can go ahead and trigger. So you can do a lot of cool things. This is a very good end board, of course. My opponent just scooped. You'll see some normal gameplay videos, but that was basically one of the best combos I can show you. That's extremely consistent. Puri Res Map searches Dark Beckoning Beast, the continuous spell, and then of course you also have 3 copies of it. So this combo is not hard to pull off. Now you can do some unique things, right? In order to do the Fallen Paradise combo, you do need Dark Summoning Beast, the Chaos Summoning Beast, and the Dark Beckoning. But if you only have one, you can still do some cool stuff, right? I'm not going to be able to go into Fallen Paradise, but now all of my Spright monsters and whatever else is on the board is going to be able to trigger. Again, some super incidental. Normally, this is a brick in the hand, and you can only you have to run 2 copies, but you don't have to when it's sent. I always think this card only activates when a water monster is sent, but that is not true. It is when it is sent from hand or deck to graveyard. So I can bring back this Dark Beckoning Beast to trigger Nimble Angler to bring those 2 out. So I don't have to go into Sprint now, which is really awesome. And there goes Gamma. And I can, Spright Starters there. So that's blue. Blue can get me Jet, which is going to give me, more material basically. I can put back the Beaver, right? That's not really doing anything. Like I said, you usually have 1 mulligan that you don't really need. I really think Psy-Frames are criminally underrated, as a little Spright engine. It's good going first or second, which is very unique. It's very unfortunate that Gamma is limited now, but I kind of get it. And isn't that unique? If your life points are lower than your opponent's, but I actually paid life points because of starter, or Puri Res Map also does that. So kind of good. He's going to go to the battle phase, did not read the effect of Hamon, he can't do anything. That's right, this is the weakness, right, of IP Masquerena, of Lambdas. Your opponent can just go over it, but now they can't. So Sacred Beast is actually extremely important in the facilitation of this combo. And there goes the Gamma. I can change all of those into Appaloosa. I only run 1 driver, which seems weird in a Psy-Frame deck. But it really works out because you can just use it as advantage. It summons, driver just has to be in the hand, deck, or graveyard. As long as you can keep it out of the banish pile, you can play with 1. And it's totally worth it, right? You don't ever want to have multiple driver because it is such a massive brick. Okay, I can bring that in. One thing I also like about this is that pure Spright decks often lock you into twos very early on. In Spright, you can actually just get a tremendous amount of advantage and like stay around that lock. Starter and Gigantic are the ones that lock you into twos, and you can really use that to your advantage and play around it in order to get access to certain cards that I feel like normal Spright builds cannot use, which is truly, truly amazing. So let's go ahead and keep going here. This is obviously very good opening, seeing these two cards. I like to play Nemesis. It's a banish extender. So if you playing, the Chaos Summoning Beast that banishes the Search Fallen Paradise, you can shuffle it back. Or if you are going second and you do use one of your Psy-Frames, you don't want to have that banish driver. So at the very least, this gives you a chance to shuffle it back. And of course, it is summonable off of Gigantic. You can bring it back with Herald and then shuffle the driver if you really have to. It's a little bit unfortunate to see driver off the top just because I'm not going to really be able to use it. And this guy didn't, I mean, he has a bunch of cards, but none of them, literally none of them do anything. But I want to show you, like, what you can do in terms of advantage. Like, I can pick apart his board, and, it's pretty cool. So I can go ahead and bring that back. I don't want to lock myself yet, right? Again, you can open up your extra deck a little bit. I can go into Unicorn, spin that back. And then I can change that into Access Code Talker. Start banishing some things. Pretty cool that, Spright Sprind is a fire monster. That definitely helps a lot. And then I can just, keep going afterwards, right? I'm just, kind of just beginning my combos after shuffling a few cards away. And I wasn't locked. I was able to use a lot of, very good cards. Okay, so there goes Access Code Talker, Lambda, and I have a Monster Negate, which is pretty good. This is going to be a Spell and Trap Negate, of course. Kelbeck is going to try to trigger. This is going to get banished during the end phase, which is going to search for Lambda. I also do have the Continuous Trap, so I can just banish one of them, get rid of the field spell or whatever. So again, just kind of like a fun little replay to see there. Let's go ahead. This is against, I call this deck Sacred Beast, because Spright and Sacred Beast, that's the best I could come up with. But this is a very unique opening where I have all the pieces, so I can actually just straight up search Cerulean Sky Fire, which is incredible. Like, this is a really, really good opening. And it is facilitated through Sacred Beast, uniquely good. This is a very good turn one board for Spright, some of the best, I feel like. A Spell and Trap Negate that beats Dark Ruler, that beats Super Polymerization of all cards. So that's something that other decks simply cannot do. So if you like Sacred Beast, I can't imagine you wouldn't have an extreme amount of fun to play this. Fallen Paradise Hamon Pass was just too much for me. I needed to change something, and Dark Beckoning Beast just made way too much sense. I draw into the field spell. It's so over. When I use Gamma, I get to go into a really powerful Synchro monster. And something that's really cool, it immediately lets you Synchro summon into anything, which is going to be an 8, and you can go into Dragite because obviously the engine for Nimble is water, which is also just some very unique things line up in these strategies that really just fit like a glove. Obviously, I'm going to go ahead and negate there. He's going to go for Unicorn. I will now negate that. I can change those probably into Omega just to get rid of a card in his hand. That way I'm only facing 3. He does actually go for this. It was an extra copy of the field spell, so that was a bit unfortunate, but I'm going to go ahead. Let's go ahead and spin this back. He's going to have to give this back to me during the end phase. And then, of course, he just scoops, right? I will show one more. It is against Punk. I'm sure you get the idea. Again, this is incredible, but I say this, but there is so much consistency tools in this. The continuous spell essentially gets you to the full combo. He does go for Coast Ogre there. Again, I was just going to go for the Hamon line, pretty standard. But yeah, that actually did nothing. Literally nothing changed in that interaction. So I can go ahead and go for blue, and blue is going to search me Jet. I'm sure you've seen all of this before, right? Spright Sprind is going to come down next, minus the Hamon. Red can come. That way maybe I'll protect myself against Nibiru, but I think I've maybe already gone through the summons. I probably could have played that a little bit better, but that's okay. Cerulean Sky Fire, of course, I'm going to get searched. Now, you may think, why did I put this in defense position? I'm 5-heading it, right? I'm thinking even further ahead. I want to have this starter in hand, and obviously I'm going to keep Circuit just because of how good of a card it is. So it's more important for this to be in defense position. That way I can protect myself against IP and everything. So there goes Herald. Give myself the driver back, and then I can change those into Lambda. Okay, so I do have a monster negate. This is going to give me a spell and trap negate. He's going to go for cosmic. That's fine. Like, I can live with that. I'm just, I'd rather just wait to use this on Hamon. Again, I think this is... Oh, he paid a lot of life points. So he does have lower life points than me now. But I am actually going to have an opportunity. So he's going to go for Hamon. And I'm going to, negate there. And then I can go ahead and trigger starter. That way I can get the carrot. Because I have a red negate and a carrot negate. He only has 2 cards left. And I think he just scoops from there. So, yeah, that is Sacred Beast Spright. I hope you were as surprised as I was, because I didn't think this deck would function as good as it did. And here I am. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. Other than that's going to do it for today's video, and I will see you guys next time.